When I was 9, I moved to Puerto Rico. I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in New York up until that moment. And my mom sent me to live with my grandparents. And I did not speak Spanish. And so I remember being a young person not being able to communicate. I was supposed to live there for 1 year. It ended up being 6. I came back to New York City, and my English was out of practice. I remember going into my high school and being concerned that I wasn't going to be able to say the right words and pronounce them properly. I understand what it feels like to struggle in a language, and I know what it feels like to want to express within, you know, and dancing just allows me to do that.
Por incrível que pareça, ao longo da história, alguns dos momentos mais difíceis para a humanidade são também os momentos em que a gente dança mais. Reza a lenda que na Europa da Idade Média, enquanto a peste bubônica estava matando milhões e milhões de pessoas, os sobreviventes iam para o meio da rua e dançavam. Dançavam para celebrar a vida.
It's basically therapy. It's really crazy out there. It is a really crazy world, and I think that the art is the escape, and it is the thing to have a conversation. I mean, it's endless what dance can do.
Ballet dancers, they are all fanatics. We are pretty crazy. That's it.
I mean, I'm not a dancer, as you will see, but I'd love to.
Very recently, before our performances, I have heard Ukrainian anthem playing. It was an unbelievable experience, but for me, I was thinking about me being here, being able to perform for people, being safe, and people are actually going through the war right now. Just such a, different realities. I was born in Kharkiv, the second largest city of Ukraine. I feel like first 2 weeks of the war, when I actually felt very bad psychologically and mentally. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't really rehearse, I couldn't dance well, and I feel like I had to figure a way for me to do it, and I keep on saying for myself that I'm very lucky to do what I do. So I feel like in a way I appreciate dancing way more than even ever before.
Do you remember how it felt like to practice ballet as a child? Like, do you remember when you started loving it?
I do, actually. So at first, I was tricked into ballet, kind of by my mom, because she told me that everyone from my kindergarten was going to the ballet school. And I didn't realize for a while that it was just me. But then after a month or so, I felt like, oh, teachers telling me that I'm not doing too bad, and I just slowly but surely fell in love with ballet.
What is ballet culture like in Ukraine? Do parents encourage their kids to take ballet classes?
They do,
Yeah.
especially mother always wants a guy to do ballet, I feel like. It's normal. For me personally, what happened, I had lots of energy. So I did soccer and ballet, and I was good at both, kind of. And at age of 15, I had to make a decision whether to become a soccer player or a ballet dancer. And it was ballet. So at 15, I took a short video of me doing ballet exercises and doing small dance variation, and sent this video to schools around the world. And I got accepted to about half of it, at least. And then I came here. I just remember it was awful, of course, not having family next to me at age of 15, having to move to the United States, not being able to speak English, to properly communicate with people. It was very hard, but at the moment you kind of have to keep going.
What did your parents say when you told them that you were going to pursue ballet as a career?
They supported it always. Yeah, my family is very supportive.
Are they still in Ukraine?
Recently, they had to move to Poland.
Because of the war?
Because of the war, yeah. This was definitely the hardest experience that I personally had to go through. For the first 2 weeks, I couldn't sleep, and I was trying to find ways to help them to get to safety. But for people who stayed in Ukraine, it was the whole other reality.
Would you ever go back?
I hope so. I really want to. Ukraine is a beautiful country. I love my city. I really hope that one day Ukraine is gonna get even better than it ever been. We all are fighting for freedom, and this is definitely gives us strength.
You're a successful ballet dancer. What would you say is a characteristic that is fundamental, that is key, in order for someone to succeed in ballet?
Discipline. Everyone has a different level of talent, but being able to take the information that you get from the teacher and really work this information and get better, 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 I feel like that's the key. For me, I feel like just keep working hard and enjoy what you do. I feel like this is the most important thing. In the end, we're all doing it because we love it, and we experience joy dancing, and we experience joy being on stage and performing in front of the live audience, and that actually something that matters the most.
How much do you train every day?
I personally have 6 hours a day of rehearsals and 2 hours before that of class, so total 8 hours. You know, we have a saying that even after we finish ballet career, we cannot stop, because if we stop, all the injuries that we have had in the past, we're gonna feel it. So we still have to stay active. And mentally, ballet is even harder than physically. You have to be very strong because injuries happen. Something else, you get frustrated because it's very demanding. You have to stay very strong mentally.
Have you ever experienced falling on stage,
Oh, yeah.
hurting yourself on stage?
Yes, yes.
And what was that like?
Fun. You just laugh a little, have a laugh, and get up. And you know, that happens, we all fall.
Kind of like life.
Yeah, it is. It's great memory, you know?
Eu estou agora num lugar chamado Steps on Broadway, que já está aqui há quase meio século. É um marco para essa comunidade da dança. Por aqui já passaram alguns dos grandes professores do mundo quando eles vêm aqui para Nova York. Então você tem gente que trabalhou no Alvin Ailey, você tem gente que trabalhou no New York City Ballet, você tem até gente que trabalhou no Bolshoi Ballet aqui. E se você quer trabalhar com dança nos Estados Unidos, isso aqui é parada obrigatória.
Honestly, the best dance classes happen here. I can't explain to you the energy in the room when there are 60 dancers, sweaty, basically touching, because we're just all trying to get in and learn from different people. I mean, the best of the best come here, every different style.
As a dancer, you have to keep coming to places like this, like Steps on Broadway, to train in ballet, to train in jazz. You have to constantly keep maintaining your technique, because after you work on a job for 6 or 7 months and you come back, you've only been doing 1 or 2 things basically the entire time. So to come back and continue working and strengthening your body and just keeping yourself in shape, hopefully it'll last a bit longer rather than being kind of burnt out when you're in your 20s.
And a 7, breaking down and down on 8.
It's a really hard career, and it's really taxing on your body and on your mind. So I think just having that love for the artistry of it and continuing to want to perform and want to create every day, it kind of keeps you going.
Up 1, 2 and 3, sharp 4, a 5 and 6, and a 7.
You are going into a profession where there is so much uncertainty and so much, are you going to get that job? Are you going to be able to sustain yourself? Are you going to be able to live on your own? And it can be tremendously difficult to understand. Like, why didn't you choose a regular career path? It's just because I know that I wouldn't thrive I need this.
How old were you when you knew you liked to dance?
Oh, I started dancing when I was like 5. I knew right away.
You did?
Oh, yeah. I knew that there was something exciting about being able to express myself through movement, because words are limiting. The language is limiting.
How did you go from wanting to be a ballet dancer to working on Broadway?
So for me, ballet was just too rigid. When I got exposed to any other style, you name it, salsa, hustle, jazz, African, hip hop, I felt this like earth. I felt like the pelvis. I felt this like, and that's what I realized what I was searching for, what I was missing from ballet.
I think few institutions represent New York as much as Broadway.
Yes.
And we just went through a pandemic in which we had no Broadway whatsoever. What was that like?
That was rough. That was really rough because I was in a show called Jagged Little Pill, which I loved. I loved what I did. I went out on that stage every night and I knew how special and magical it was because as a dancer, I was really being featured, you know, and that doesn't always happen for dancers on Broadway. But then what was even sadder was that we went back and then we closed again because we all got COVID, the second round, and it just couldn't withhold it. A lot of shows closed again just because couldn't make the money.
Once you land that job, your life is different, and I assume once the show goes away, your life changes as well.
Yes.
How do you navigate this lack of predictability, if you will?
I think that it takes a lot of work to be able to deal with the unpredictability because, you know, you're in a Broadway show and then it closes. It's like you need to have a backup job, jobs plural sometimes. And it can be really stressful, especially in New York City. Like, you have to pay your rent. Yeah, we all do. We got to survive.
Nowadays, a lot of us seek perfection. I feel like a lot of young kids have major self-esteem issues. What can the world learn from dancers in the sense of like how to treat your body, how to view your body, how to feel your body?
I feel like, you know, we want the immediate results. We want the instant gratification. We want the perfection. But like, then the problem is that takes us out of being in the moment and truly being in our bodies. And we can't appreciate what we have then, you know, and what our offering is. And that's what I feel like dance offers. It's able to ground you and able to focus, get clear head.
Help to be present.
Present. But yeah, exactly.
All we have is now.
Yeah.
Where are we?
We're at Pier 76, Hudson River Park, and there's going to be a salsa party here called Sunset Salsa. I encountered dance at a young age, but I think I was always looking for it. I was always fascinated with movement and technique. I'm from Guam, and we used to be a Spanish colony, and so our people danced cha-cha-cha. But when I found ballet, I thought I was just mystified, and I couldn't stay away. I worked really hard to get scholarships to be able to learn in ballet, and that was all that was available in Guam. But here, there are just so many different ways to engage in dance.
What was life like in Guam?
It's a very small community. It's a very, very beautiful place. There's about a 1/3 indigenous community still there, and my family is indigenous. So I miss the close-knit feeling that we have. This is a huge world out here, but being in salsa kind of brings it in.
I start with my foot back?
That's right, with your left foot.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. 5, 6. Oh, you got it.
So when I go back, you go forward.
Yeah.
Okay. You get here, you have a world of possibilities in New York. You could study whatever style you could study. But what was it about salsa that grabbed you?
I think other people would describe it as the feeling of coming home. It is obviously new, right? I mean, even the language, because people on Guam did not take on Spanish. We still speak our own indigenous language. So even though we have a lot in common with other Latinos, I don't understand Spanish, and there's a lot of things that were very new to me. But being in that environment and being close to people and communicating, dance just felt like home. It felt so familiar and so new. And for me, I think dance is very essential to life. It not only reflects essential everyday activities, but it is supposed to foster this kind of very important connection between people.
Just out of curiosity, how many people have never done any salsa before? Never? Oh, nice! Give them a nice round of applause. All right. Okay. Now, and then I guess the rest of you are seasoned veterans. So we have step, rock, step, again, step, rock, step, 2 more times, step, rock, step, and step, rock, step, step, side, rock, step, side, rock, looking very good, step, side, rock, 2 more, step, rock, step, and step, rock. Cool. Are we okay with that so far? Yes? All right.
Do you need a partner to dance cha-cha-cha?
No.
Well, you do to dance salsa, kinda.
No, actually.
You don't?
Yeah, there's actually an even more developed solo art form in
Really?
salsa than in cha-cha-cha.
Okay.
So there are 2 very distinct paths that people take in salsa through the history of mambo, which is Afro-Cuban. It comes here in the 40s and 50s. And so there are solo dancers and there are partner work dancers, and the dancing is very, very different. You can tell just by looking at a party who likes to express themselves on their own and who likes to do it with somebody else. I've been in this community for about 20 years now, and it's a huge part. Brand new people who are encountering salsa for the first time, they don't really know what salsa is. They just know that they want it. And they want to be together with other people with this amazing music.
What's the origin of tap dancing?
I think that it begins with African culture. When African people were brought here and enslaved, they brought with them their rhythm and their musicality. They were so in tune with the communication, rhythmic communication, that they could start revolts across plantations just through rhythm. And so there's a revolt that happens in 1737 that basically triggers laws to be enacted in this country to take away their drums. And so out of that is born this way of moving your feet and using rhythm, your body, to make the rhythm. When you want to express and you want to communicate Nobody can take that from you. I think my story is less conventional because most people grow up dancing, like in dance studios and going to the programs. That wasn't my experience. I actually started tap dancing when I was 19 years old. So I was in college when I took up tap dancing. In high school, I was 17, and my English teacher taught a course called History of the Movies. It was all classic films. I don't know, one day I saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in the class, and I was like, they are like magic. I thought they were so beautiful, you know? It piqued my curiosity. And so after school, and I'd lock myself in the room and I would just, you know, try to move like they were doing, but not great, obviously, because I didn't know what I was doing, you know? I'm a Black and Puerto Rican, you know, young person from the Bronx who was looking at Ginger Rogers, who was like a Hollywood movie star, white, blonde, you know, blue eyes, and I was like, nobody's ever gonna look at me like that. But I still like wanted to like pursue it, you know? And then in college, I got the opportunity to do so.
Explain to me how someone grows up, you know, to be 17, 18, 19, has never tried something before.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but with a lot of work, become a master in this craft.
I think that once I discovered my voice within the dance form, I realized that all of those feelings of like hesitation and isolation of like as a young person sort of like disappeared when I tap danced. The minute I like started going like when I started to communicate rhythmically, people were really responding to me. And I realized that tap dancing was more than just entertainment, you know? Tap dancing is expression, and it is communication, and it comes from yourself. And that is what made me become super obsessed with it. When I was first practicing, I would practice everywhere, like in the grocery store, and the subway platform, you know, at the actual jazz clubs, in my room. It's everywhere.
You sort of navigate, you live in what's been known as a boys' club for a really long time. Most of the tap dancers that are world-renowned are men. What drives you to stick around? What drives you to keep fighting?
I just wanted to dance. I just wanted to dance. And I felt like I could sense it's a man's world, but I just wanted to dance. And to me, that was my North Star. It was like, if that's what you want to do, just show up, just show up, just show up. And then I would show up to the jams, and whenever the improv circles would begin and women would shy away, I would just like shimmy my way in there because it didn't occur to me at any point that I could not do that. There wasn't a reason why I wouldn't do it except for somebody wanting to gatekeep and deliberately keep me out. And I just showed up so many times that I couldn't be ignored. It was something that started out as just a curiosity and then a love and for fun, you know? And then when I realized that it was something really beautiful, I just wanted to make impact.
Can art have an impact in the world we have, the world we live in?
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you think about statements, revolution like that, artists are almost always at the center of that. You know, when you think about Nina Simone, Lois Bright and Juanita Pitts, who would dance, you know, with suits and ties and flat shoes where women were expected to just dance in heels and skirts and fishnet tights, you know, and they were like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to show up the way I want to show up. That to me is revolution. Yeah. And it does start to change things. I feel like art is a celebration of humanity. It's the study of humanity. I believe that every single human being is creative. And you think about children, and you think about the way that they play, and the imagination, and you think about their curiosity, right? And then you think about how many of us will grow up to be artists, and many people abandon that part of themselves, but it's in there. Art is in us, right? So it's like about waking people up. And so to me, I feel like when I'm performing and I say, I want to share my joy, I want to share my love, and people respond to that because they remember when they are free to express that and to feel that. I think good art is filled with empathy and compassion and understanding, you know? If we can be open to experiencing that, we would have a better world. I've been saying this for so long, I could cry thinking about it. We belong in all spaces. And I feel like, I think we should be in all conversations of culture and justice and humanity and gender and joy and entertainment and politics, and because that is where we naturally existed, you know? So thank you.
Houve um tempo em que a globalização navegava a todo vapor. Mas será que a gente embarcou em uma canoa furada?
A grande promessa é que as fronteiras todas iam ser derrubadas.
É o contrário, né?
É, a gente ia viver num mundo assim, tudo junto.
O business dessa semana quer saber se o nosso destino é mesmo a tal desglobalização.
A pandemia, quando começou com o epicentro na China, fraquejou cadeias de produção no mundo inteiro.
O Brasil, ele precisa continuar aberto a relações comerciais com o mundo.
CNN Soft Business. É daqui a pouco.
CNN Soft Business. Apoio Banco Master. Seu sucesso, nossa maior conquista.
We are in the Bronx, the Boogie Down Bronx. Welcome.
This is where, you know, culture, hip-hop, dance all started. Music, dance, there's all mediums that bring folks together, so we want to make sure we're always having that in this space. DJ Miles, let's put the beat. We allow folks to just be themselves and really, truly like channel that energy and movement. And I think that's what makes dance so special, specifically right here in the Bronx.
When I was a kid, I was always very athletic, and I think breaking is one of those dances that puts athleticism and culture together, and that's what I love about it, but that's the difficult part about it, the discipline part about it. At the end of the day, it is self-expression. Being able to just do what you do and just have fun with it, you know, so I'm grateful that I'm a part of it.
É impossível falar sobre dança contemporânea sem falar sobre o Travis Wall. Travis Wall é um americano que nasceu na Virgínia, é um dos dançarinos mais premiados do mundo, já tem 2 Emmys, já foi indicado a 18 Emmys, é jurado e coreógrafo do programa So You Think You Can Dance, que é uma referência no universo da dança no mundo inteiro, e um dos caras mais talentosos que eu conheço. Por isso, eu vim até o Brooklyn conversar com ele.
What was it like growing up in Virginia Beach?
I was born into a dance family, so Virginia Beach to me was just constantly dancing. My mom owned a dance studio. The first images I remember are watching dancers in a dance room.
From your crib?
From my crib at the dance studio. I was always there. I probably was dancing before I was walking, mimicking our movements before I took my first steps.
Looking back, do you feel like your life would have been completely different? Your choices would have been completely different had you not been born in the family that you were born?
Absolutely. If it wasn't for my mom, I don't know if I would have found dance. Dance to me is family. Mm-hmm. It is more than life. It is like every relationship I had growing up was through dance. It was because of dance. Anybody that I had an emotional connection to was through expressing yourself through movement. So I don't know anything else.
How has this synergy, between dance and your family, your upbringing, how has it impacted the dancer and the choreographer you've become?
The thing about my family is that we all danced in some way, all the boys. My brother, my adopted brother, Danny, he was the best ballet dancer. And I really looked up to him growing up in my teenage years. He recently just passed away, and so that was really hard for the family. But I really worked hard on technique and conquering all dance styles at a very young age. And because my relationship with my mom was so important to me, I would work really hard at dance, and she would work really hard with me. So it was, as a dancer, as a child, I had something special when it came to that.
Every day you see quite a few. So you see, it's all up to you. You could be better than you are. You could be swinging on a star.
I kind of hid it at school a little bit. No one really knew I was a dancer at first in elementary school. Just the stigma around male dancers, in the late 90s was obviously not great. You just try to fit in. But I booked a commercial when I was 9, a Dr. Pepper commercial. I was discovered at a dance competition. And the commercial blew up, and it premiered during the NFC Championship game, and it became a really big thing in my hometown, and it was because I was a dancer. And so then it was cool that I was a dancer because I was in a commercial. So that was okay, now I can tell everyone I'm a dancer because now everyone accepts it because I was on TV. Dance was an escape from my brain. It was an escape from the turmoil I was going through. I realized that when I was trying to come out of the closet and was trying to realize who I was. My sexuality had a lot to do with me expressing myself. I wasn't able to express myself, and I had a lot of bottled up tension and emotion, and I got into a room and I started to take that and try to figure out how to put it into moves and not words. And I started to create these stories and these emotions, and I felt like that is what made me start choreographing, was because I had no other way of expressing myself but to physically move my body. It wasn't 2022 back then.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have ever processed that if I wrote it out until I did it without words. I feel like when I get to create something, a piece of multiple dancers, 20 to 30, or a duet, or something that is really about my life, and then I get to look back and watch a movie of yep, that's how I felt, and then having the dancers connect to that, that's when I get emotional. And I go oh my God, I didn't know what I was really going through until I watched it, and oh my God, because you vomit it up. It's really a way to connect with yourself, to express yourself.
You are an incredible dancer, but you also are part of a humongous project, which is So You Think You Can Dance, 17 seasons, and globally, it's a phenomenon. Is that something that's never even in the back of your mind, or does it play a part?
And so it is.
It's so cool that people recognize dance. When I grew up, we're the bottom of the totem pole, you know what I mean? You're never gonna be successful. You're never gonna be able to survive. You're never gonna be able to financially make it. It's you're gonna be backup dancing for someone, we were never the star of it. I mean, I remember being on tour with So You Think You Could Dance when I was 18, and we went out on our first show, and people were screaming our names from the audience, not Janet Jackson's name, our name, and we were like, we're dancers. It was so bizarre to us. And the fact that I moved you in some way, I hold that close to my heart. When you're watching dance, you can make up your own narrative of what the story is and what someone is trying to say, and it makes you think, it makes you have a conversation. What did they mean by that? What's the symbolism? What is this? And it's not words, it's not a fact. There is a lot of room for interpretation and imagination.
How would you describe this community of dancers? I know that there are so many different types of dance, so many backgrounds, people come from so many different places with different ambitions, but what's the common thread?
It's a common experience that we all know what we have to go through to do what we do. It's a common ground that we all kind of stand on. So you feel like everyone's kind of your brother, everyone's kind of your sister. It's a beautiful community.
It's fair to say that dancers around the world dream of working with you. What do you look for when you look for a dancer for a piece?
Individuality. Like, I embrace that as much as possible. That's why, like, creating a piece on somebody that is meant for them. Now it's yours, do it. Make it yours. It doesn't have to look like my choreography. I want to see where you fit inside my space. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. I just love to embrace who that artist is as much as possible.
Oh, you wanna strip away.
I always try to outdo myself, challenge myself. What have I not done? How can my last piece or my last creation, how can I either, take a different road, or how can I outdo what I did last time? You're only as great as your last piece. It's constantly just trying to do something you haven't done before.
You serrate your face with glee. Don't waste your candor on bystanders. They'll watch you waste away, waste away, waste away, waste away. What's the use of confessing the truth to an executioner in the booth about the dueling forces in you? Now you barely remember your youth. You used to embrace theory and helm, visitations from spirit realms, gifted to see between astral planes. Now you plead to be plain, a bystander of bygone standards. They watch you waste away, waste away, waste away. Don't waste your candor on bystanders. They watch you waste away, waste away, waste away. When it's mitigate your fire, the essence of carnal desire, the and it's true that the truth gives you free, but when truth is a breach of decree, dying for praise from the gallery, whose morality is great, and